He's three law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Not surprised. You know, we all know who he is and how we get down, so that don't surprise me.
We never thought we'd hear it. Not in our wildest midnight YouTube binges. Not after decades of wild claim sightings in Havana, or every TikTok theorist waving blurry selfies. But here it is. Shakur's own brother, Mopreme, just shattered the timeline. It's not a joke. It's not a meme. Multiple insiders insist the Shakur family filmed an interview where Mopreme, cool as ice, picked up the phone and dialed Shakur himself. And we're not talking about some static-filled prank call from the back of a strip mall radio station. According to people who claimed they were in the room, Shakur answered, calm, alive, breathing. He didn't just chat about the weather in Belize or his favorite beach in Cuba. He said, and we quote to the insider that he'd appear soon to testify against his assailants. It's the kind of moment that spins your stomach sideways. Is this the long-awaited proof? The real plot twist at the end of hip-hop's greatest tragedy? Or just another smoke bomb in a world already drenched in clickbait?
The boy Puffy called me, though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's,
That's where the tension truly ignites. For nearly 3 decades, everyone from record label interns to conspiracy authors has tried to decode what really happened on that night in Las Vegas. Fans still see the scene burned into memory. Shakur, just 25, riding shotgun beside Suge Knight, minutes removed from the bright ring lights of the MGM Grand. Then gunfire, a black BMW, police sirens spiraling into the night, hospital lights flickering in the aftermath. We listened as his mother spoke of her son's quiet passing. We studied the coroner's report. We dissected the autopsy photo. And we obsessed over every contradiction. Why wasn't Shakur wearing his vest that night? Why did no one capture the shooter's face on the busiest strip in America? Even now, the official story feels more like a patchwork of guesses than the truth. Too many holes. Too much money on the line. Too much history erased with a shrug. And now, decades later, here sits Mopreme Shakur in a studio, offering cryptic glances and measured words, reigniting the possibility that everything we thought we knew might be wrong.
I just get right on the side of his head and just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him.
He never flinches. The mask never slips. Throughout the interview, Mopreme's voice stays steady. No cracks, no forced tears, no flashes of anger. Just measured pauses, like a man carrying secrets too heavy to spill carelessly. Secrets he's guarded since childhood. Secrets that might finally matter in a courtroom instead of being dismissed in a YouTube comment thread. And then comes the leak. Shakur's own words, spoken through that phone call. Let's stop dressing it up. It's nothing less than a resurrection. A promise delivered in his own voice. He's alive. And he's preparing to testify. But testify against who? That's where the story goes nuclear. Because if even a sliver of this is true, there's one man in America who should be sweating bullets. Sean Diddy Combs.
I mean, that's Puffy's homie. You know what I mean? They have a relationship. They're friendly. They know each other.
Let's stop dancing around it. Diddy has been the gravitational center of this rumor for decades. Sometimes accused outright. Sometimes cloaked in sly allusions. Sometimes flaunting diamonds in his lyrics, while his lawyers scramble to douse the flames. But today, he's not just battling whispers. He's trapped in a nightmare of his own making. Indicted on racketeering. Facing a federal human trafficking trial. Denied bail. Accused by more than 100 victims of building an empire of coercion and exploitation. And just this month, prosecutors admitted in open court that one of their star witnesses, identified only as victim 3, has vanished. The defense is already sharpening its knives, painting lurid accounts as nothing more than consensual freak-offs. But prosecutors, and an army of Homeland Security agents, aren't buying it. If the feds get their way, Diddy spends the rest of his life in a cell. The last thing he needs now, a headline suggesting Tupac Shakur's ghost just RSVP'd to testify.
PD named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac.
And it's not just Mopreme's suspicion anymore. Over and over, Diddy's name echoes through sworn police interviews, wiretap confessions, and transcripts thick enough to bury a defense attorney. Take Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the former Compton gang boss, now awaiting trial for the Las Vegas shooting. According to prosecutors, Keefe D. confessed repeatedly that Diddy offered him millions to take out Shakur and Suge Knight. His version is blunt. After Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, torching the East Coast with bars aimed squarely at Bad Boy Records, Diddy snapped, "I'll give anything for that dude's head." Keefe D. claims those words weren't whispered in the shadows. They were said in a room packed with 45 witnesses. And while Diddy didn't cut a check himself, Keefe D. insists the bounty was funneled through an associate named Zip, who pocketed the payout. "We was like, damn, we can get paid now," he recalled. Court records show Diddy's name surfaces 47 times in those transcripts. That's not rumor, that's a paper trail. Even Diddy's most loyal fans, the same ones who once swore he was untouchable, are starting to hedge their bets. The narrative isn't about platinum records anymore. It's about hidden phone calls, missing witnesses, and a judge who just denied bail for the third time. Now the world watches as Diddy sits in a federal courtroom, forced to explain away freak-off videos and allegations of a criminal empire that reads more like a Netflix docuseries than a pop star's memoir. As prosecutors line up former partners, ex-employees, and so-called consenting adults, one question pulses louder than ever. What does Diddy really know about that night in Vegas? And why does he look more nervous now than he ever did under the stage lights?
I'm quite sure everything, I am death row. Suge Knight is death row. So I'm quite sure before it's said and done, all eyes on me and Machiavelli out of Fox have definitely to come back.
Mopreme, meanwhile, refuses to let the pressure crack his poker face. "The truth is still yet to come out, so we gonna see," he told Piers Morgan when pressed about Diddy's denials. Not the furious, grieving brother we might expect after all these years, but a man holding his cards close, unwilling to call the hand before the final reveal. When Morgan pressed harder, "Do you think Diddy was lying?" Mopreme didn't flinch. Just a shrug. "Quite possibly. And it's kind of looking that way, in my opinion." You could almost feel the air thicken, old wounds bleeding back into the open. Just enough suspicion to keep the story burning. It's no secret the Shakur family has long viewed Diddy's denials with a wary side eye. And now, with the family bringing on celebrity attorney Alex Spiro, yes, the same Alex Spiro who just got Alec Baldwin cleared of the Russ shooting charges, the search for answers has shifted into overdrive.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out until 70 years old. He about 70, that's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
So where does all this lead? If Mopreme's call is real, then Tupac Shakur isn't just the most legendary rapper of all time. He's the government's newest star witness. Overnight, the wildest conspiracy threads of the 1990s suddenly feel less like fantasy and more like breadcrumbs. The whispered sightings in Cuba, the alleged body doubles, the cryptic Machiavelli clues, the flood of mysterious posthumous albums. What once looked like paranoia now feels like puzzle pieces snapping into place. Even Michael Nice, the bodyguard who swore he helped fly Shakur to safety, always claimed the story held weight. Maybe now, his words don't sound quite so impossible.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
Everywhere you look, new details keep spilling out. Court TV insiders claim the Shakur family has uncovered fresh leads, clues the Las Vegas PD and LA detectives somehow missed for decades. Diddy, for his part, has always dismissed the homicide accusations as completely ridiculous. Yet his name refuses to disappear. It resurfaces in police transcripts, in documentaries, even in the memoirs of men who claim they were inside the car that night. As one former detective bluntly put it, it's been the worst-kept secret in Compton. And still, no one dares to be the first to say it outright in open court. At least, not yet.
Your own platform. He said this on your platform that he put up $1 million to get Pac here.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy and Puffy made a comment.
All the while, Diddy's world keeps collapsing inward. Federal agents have already raided 2 of his mansions. His chief of staff, compared by some to Ghislaine Maxwell, is under the microscope for allegedly orchestrating those infamous parties. Lawsuits land week after week. Former friends and industry insiders, once silent, are suddenly eager to talk. Even the family of the notorious B.I.G., gunned down just months after Shakur, are watching closely. The timeline has never been messier. The stakes have never been higher. And now comes the ultimate chess move. The Shakur family's legal team, led by powerhouse attorney Alex Spiro, is reportedly preparing to subpoena records, pursue wrongful death claims, and drag the hip-hop rivalry of the 1990s out of the shadows and into the blazing light of federal court in 2025. Spiro, the same attorney now defending New York City's embattled mayor against bribery charges, doesn't take losing cases. Which means everyone, prosecutors, defense teams, fans, haters, even the diehards still convinced Shakur is sipping rum in Havana, is holding their breath, waiting for the next bombshell to drop.
I always said, Keisha, I'm not going to live, past a certain time, or, I know I'm going to get shot up. He knew that. That was, the one thing that he did know.
Officially, no one's talking. Not Diddy's camp. Not the Las Vegas cops. Not the U.S. Attorney's Office. Not even Mopreme himself. But behind closed doors, the rumors are boiling over. The Shakur family's investigators are chasing every lead, tracking down witnesses, combing through bank records, retracing steps from the Vegas Strip all the way to the Caribbean. And the longer it goes on, the less far-fetched the conspiracy theories sound. The posthumous albums, the Machiavelli liner notes, the misspelled coroner's report, each detail just more fuel for a fire that's been raging nearly 30 years. But the real question, the one nobody dares say aloud, is this: if Tupac Shakur really is alive, what's kept him hidden all this time? Fear, a secret deal with law enforcement, or the greatest long game in music history, waiting for the perfect moment to burn it all down? One thing is certain: Diddy, once the king of the charts, now rules over nothing but nervous glances in the courtroom. And every legal expert agrees. If even a fraction of these allegations stick, he's staring down a sentence longer than his discography. And if Tupac himself walks into that witness box, all bets are off.
Now, why was he calling me?
Mopreme's interview is rumored to drop any day now. Behind the scenes, the family's legal team is quietly making moves. Industry chatter says Diddy's inner circle is splintering under the pressure. Some insiders even whisper about backroom deals to keep certain names off subpoenas. But the Shakur family doesn't seem ready to back down. This feels like the moment, the collision point where myth smashes headfirst into reality. And the question on everyone's lips: why is Diddy, once untouchable, suddenly so afraid to blink? Could this be the unraveling, the final act that strips away decades of lies and reveals who's been pulling the strings all along? Yet one question still hangs heavy in the air, echoing across internet forums and late-night barbershop debates. If Tupac really picked up that phone, where has he been all this time? The whispers always seem to drift back to Havana's sun-washed streets, where the story slides from plausible into almost cinematic. Some say Shakur struck a desperate bargain at the edge of life and stardom, one that required more than a faked autopsy or a circle of loyal insiders. According to the old theory, Fidel Castro himself agreed to shelter him in Cuba, granting a new identity in exchange for absolute silence. No interviews, no new music, no threats to the regime or the global chessboard. Just a ghost among the living, protected by the same machinery that shielded fugitives and political rebels for decades. And there's one more thread skeptics can't ignore: Tupac's own aunt, Assata Shakur, who has lived on Cuban soil since the 1980s after fleeing a U.S. prison. Despite decades of diplomatic pressure, even the FBI couldn't bring her back. If anyone in the family knew how to vanish, it was her. The idea that Tupac found the same back door, ushered in by a network of seasoned revolutionaries and sympathetic officials, suddenly doesn't sound so far-fetched. Over the years, multiple sources, from Michael Nice, the former security officer who swore he helped, to anonymous U.S. officials, have described a scenario that, while wild, remains eerily consistent. Not just body doubles and decoys, but real flights out of the country, A midnight jet to Barbados. A quiet hop to Havana. Black Panther loyalists watching every move. The man who once poured his truth into stadium speakers. Now just another face on a crowded Cuban street, always one step ahead of the cameras.
Chaotic. It's hard to actually figure out what's what, but it's becoming clearer. It's becoming clearer and clearer, but...
If true, that life would be unbearably lonely, the price of survival bought with silence. Decades spent watching the world debate your fate. Friends, betrayals, enemies, victories. From time to time, a blurry photograph or a Havana taxi driver story would ignite speculation. A man with Shakur's walk, a gold chain flashing in the Caribbean sun. But each sighting vanished as quickly as it surfaced. Rumors persist that Shakur still records in hidden studios, his voice passed along on bootleg tracks in Cuba's underground. Yet no hard evidence has ever surfaced. No statement from Cuban officials. No confirmation from the Shakur family. That vacuum only amplifies the myth. Was exile his only escape from an industry where trust could get you killed? Perhaps it would have stayed a tabloid ghost story, just another footnote in hip-hop lore, if not for the timing. Diddy's empire is imploding at the very same moment Mopreme's bombshell interview is set to drop. Suddenly, what once felt like folklore now feels like evidence. Because it's not just the racketeering charges or the tidal wave of lawsuits. It's the chilling possibility that everything is connected. The old story of Diddy offering a multi-million-dollar bounty for Shakur's head, once dismissed as gangster bravado, is now echoed in court filings and whispered by men who claim to have orchestrated the drive-by themselves. Prosecutors, desperate to break the code of silence, keep pointing back to the money trail and the paranoia that turned the East Coast, West Coast feud into a full-scale war zone. And as Diddy's lawyers scramble to keep witnesses off the stand, the danger is clear. A single phone call, recorded or not, could rip open a conspiracy already fraying at the edges.
It sort of seems like, they're trying to minimalize it to just gain.
If Shakur were to step out of the shadows now, the fallout would be nuclear. Diddy's career wouldn't just be in jeopardy. His freedom, his fortune, and what's left of his legacy all hang by a thread. But he's not the only one with reason to sweat. If there was a cover-up, if payouts and secret alliances shielded more than one music mogul, then the blast radius extends far beyond Diddy. Entire empires could crumble. Decades of business deals, reputations, and carefully protected power could collapse overnight. The silence that once safeguarded everyone, the same silence that may have kept Shakur hidden, now looks ready to implode. And that leaves the question haunting every late-night strategy call, every closed-door meeting. Has a decades-long conspiracy finally reached its breaking point? Lawyers are working overtime. Old friends have gone suspiciously quiet. Investigators are circling every loose end. And the ultimate what-if hangs heavy in the air. What happens if Shakur actually testifies? Will the government offer him protection? Or worse, wield him as a bargaining chip? Will the old power players risk everything to silence him for good? Even now, the mere possibility of his survival may be the single greatest threat to those who once ruled the industry. The atmosphere has never been more paranoid. Every veteran is watching the headlines, wondering if the next leak, the next photo, the next witness will be the one to bring the whole tower crashing down.
So they was placed to destroy the East Coast rap. And then, along came a somebody. They was about to bring East Coast rap back. And there's nothing they could do about it. And this kid was finna put East Coast.
With Mopreme's interview just days from release, and Diddy's trial ripping open old wounds on both coasts, we're standing at the crossroads, where legends are either reborn or finally buried. Will we see Tupac's face, older but unbroken, step into the light with one final message? Or will powerful forces bury the truth yet again, just as it threatens to break through? Every rumor, every leaked tip, every sudden legal twist feels like the drumroll before the storm. So the real question becomes, if Shakur is truly out there, watching this all unfold, is he safe? Or has the greatest disappearing act in music history finally come full circle, ready to detonate with secrets too dangerous to contain? We want to hear from you. Are you Team Tupac Lives? Or do you believe this is the final gasp of hip-hop's greatest mystery? Drop your theories in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stay locked in as the next chapter of this saga unfolds. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, in the world of celebrity secrets, nothing is ever truly over.